Welcome, guys, to the Big Kid Podcast, Unlocked, powered by Shaw. And today we have a special guest, someone that I also know personally, who also happens to also own their own charity that empowers young people and equips them to live their movie. And in fact, the charity is called Live Your Movie. I would introduce her myself, but I think it's better that she introduces herself to you lot. Larissa, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Hi, so my name is Larissa, and I am founder of Live Your Movie, community organisation, but we see it as more than a name, more like a movement. So encouraging young people to be the leaders of their lives, the hero of their movies, and creating the voice that you want to be heard.
That is great.
Yeah.
So, Larissa, for those who don't know what Live Your Movie is and how it came about, would you like to tell them exactly like what Live Your Movie is to you as well, what it is as a whole, and how it came about?
Yeah, so Live Your Movie is something that I'm very, very passionate about, and I think it's actually more than just a community organisation. Like I said, it's more like a movement. It's something that I definitely align with, identify with. So when I was thinking about it the other day as well, there is a story behind the name kind of thing, and it came about when I was in uni, but also it started way before that. So like just growing up in South London, I'm not the eldest, I've got older siblings and older cousins as well, and just sort of looking around and feeling like, you know, the system or the society, there's so much more that I feel like can be done for young people, especially as first generation of migrants or second generation of migrants. Our parents come to these countries for better opportunities and, you know, trying to make a better life for themselves. But along the line, you know, you're raising young people who may identify with being British, but at the same time they're African or they're Caribbean. So what's the mix and those gaps? So part of our ethos is bridging the gaps in our culture, community and generation. So providing or creating a space where young people can learn more, understand more about their identity. And I believe that once you know more about your identity, that's when your leadership starts. That's how you can live your movie. So the concept in Live Your Movie came from when I was in uni, second year, and I was about 20, and I was thinking, like, obviously the normal things, go uni, be a nurse, be a doctor, be all of that and the above, which is great. But like, we need to, I think when you understand that, I'm a Christian as well, innit? So Live Your Movie is based on Christian values and faith. But when you understand that God has a purpose for everybody and he had a plan for everyone before they were born, it's your responsibility to live yours, and it's your responsibility to lock in and find out what's that thing that I'm supposed to be doing. I could be a doctor, I could be a lawyer, whatever, but what else? If that's it, great. But if there's more to you, push the boundaries, go for it. So when my friend died, when I was 20 years old, he was like exceptional, if you know him. His name was Samuel, and he basically was, he was in the Russell group studying engineering. Like, he was that guy, and I personally used to look up to him, and like, he always used to encourage me. Not a lot of people, like, this is so cheeky, but not a lot of people my age sometimes inspire me. Actually, crop that bit out. No, I didn't say that.
I hear it though.
No, I don't mean it in that way, but like, the people are inspiring, but people that inspire you.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's people that just inspire you, and he was definitely one of those at that age that, like, I used to feel raw.
Yeah.
You know, you usually have role models that are older than you or whatever. But he was just someone that, you know, like, he just basically locked in when it came to school. He always had this vision of, gonna do this, gonna do that. So when he passed away, I just had a lot of questions. I thought, God, like, how can someone come to this earth, work so hard and go? Anyway, moral of the story is that during that time I started questioning a lot of things, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here? And, you know, I could have gone through the natural route of hair, makeup, all of that stuff, but for me personally, there was more. Like, I'm a chatty patty, as you can see. I like to talk. Do you know what I'm saying? I like to talk. I like people. I like encouraging people. I like motivating people. And I feel like my life is a depiction of what Live Your Movie is, and just kind of like pushing the boundaries and taking every opportunity. So his caption on his 20th birthday was, bro said, Live Your Movie. And I was like, that's the name. Like, and it's built around what I've been saying around pushing the boundaries, being the leader of your life and making choices for your own movie.
That was great. Genuinely, I feel like, to your point about inspiring, like people inspiring you at your age, I kind of resonate with that as well, because like you don't really, we always look up on YouTube, TikTok nowadays, whatever the case may be, and there's always someone that's older than us, or like an older relative or something that inspires us. And to have someone that's your age that also inspires you is quite rare as well. Especially in this society, in this generation, a lot of the time, young people are surrounded by, negative stuff that goes on. So then to actually have someone like that is very important. And more on the personal sides, which also comes into a question I wanted to ask you about mental health. Like, how did you deal with all of that mentally?
How did I deal with which bit?
Like the whole him passing away, and then just at the starting of it, because a lot of the time people struggle with starting things. Yeah, and that whole process of starting it, and then obviously knowing that you was doing this because of him too. So like, how was that for you mentally?
Okay, so I'm gonna just put this on like D&D, because this is why I live on D&D, because people just be doing anyhow. That's a really good question. I think like, so I'm a nurse by background. I'm a pediatric nurse. So at the time I was actually on an oncology placement. So I was actually learning about cancer. So yeah, at 20, that was tough. And I think, and he passed away because of cancer as well. So I think that was difficult because at the time, like, I didn't really understand what was going on. Like, obviously people have died, but like, like, this is my friend. So navigating that space, especially in an African household, it was like, okay, you can grieve, but at what point are you gonna make sense of it and kind of like move on in a sense? But like I say, I think that's when I really started to tap into mental health, because what was the emotions that I was feeling? I'm not a mental health nurse, I'm a pediatric nurse, but of course we look at these the mental impacts and stuff like that, but also culturally there isn't really a space to like, no one's really checking like, oh, so how are you dealing mentally? How's your sleep? Are you feeling? No one's checking for that. So you're navigating these emotions by yourself. Like, I feel low, or I feel like this, or actually I'm not that happy, or what is my stress bucket? Like, where am I at on the stress temperature type of thing? So I had to start navigating these things. And I think for me, I'll have to say how I navigated that is definitely my walk with Christ personally. I tried to seek therapy. Oh no, one of my lecturers was like, oh, get a therapist. I was like, all right, cool. But I didn't necessarily feel like that for me.
Option,
yeah, I think for me personally, I feel as though growing up now, 100% would still seek therapy if I needed to or whatever, but someone that aligns with my faith, maybe someone that also looks like me, because representation matters.
It does.
And I didn't find that person understood me, understood my walk. We have different struggles, and that's just what it is. Like, he was a white middle-class man. I'm a 20-year-old black girl from South. He's a psychologist, great, but he just didn't really get the way I saw things. So that was that. But my walk with Christ really made me tap into what's really going on here. And I believe, again, the Holy Spirit and all those things was making me things were coming to the surface for me, which then made me think, but what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about how I feel? What am I going to do about young people that may feel like me? And of course, that's how Live Your Movie was birthed. So I never actually said that also with Live Your Movie, and one of your questions was around how did you manage that mentally? It is through Jesus, because like I said, there's a path already made for you. So was questionable, was I supposed to go through this for this to come out? Who knows? But out of that, birth something that is bigger than me, that I feel like is God ordained. And in that, so with Live Your Movie, we have 3 streams of running events, programs, and recently productions, and within that space, within the programs, there's a mental health segment where we teach on mental health. So a mental health practitioner comes in, talks about mental health, stress buckets, talks about fight, flight, freeze, all these different things. What is anxiety? What does that look like? And also social media impacts, how social media and comparison can also impact you as you grow and you develop. So I guess that was my response to an issue that I saw. And lastly, I am a mental health first aider, like, so I'm specialised in wellbeing with work, and that's something I'm trying to bring into Live Your Movie, that all the practitioners and people that work alongside Live Your Movie actually go and get mental health training, like, to be able to deliver these trainings, but not just like deliver these trainings, but having conversations, like checking in, like, how are you, or understanding the cues when someone's maybe withdrawing, or if they're not talking as much, how to empower these young people to identify these things, and yeah, essentially. Does that answer your question?
No, it does, because that is, you know what's funny? I actually asked Amy that as well. Like, I was like to her how we was having this conversation, and I was saying to her, a lot of the time, young people are already labelled, might be problematic or whatever, like the case may be, just because you're from South and you might just happen to just wear a tracksuit down the road just to go to the shop. You're being labelled whatever. You could be a grade 9 student across the board, or whatever the case may be. You know, and we're quick to label. Society is quick to label young people, but we label them more than we actually ask them if they're okay.
Right.
You know, and then a lot of the time, the minute you tell a child you're proud of them, or if they're okay, it's like the first time. Sometimes they tell you it's the first time they're hearing it.
Yeah. Well, they don't even know how to respond to that. Exactly. They're like, okay.
You get, they kind of dismiss it because it's something that they've never felt before. And I kind of wanted to ask you, in that sense, with the young people that, you know, you empower and whatnot, how important do you think that is now, telling the young people, are you okay, you know, having regular check-ins with that? How is that, how important do you think that is for them?
Boy, how important. It's really all that really matters, really, because there's something that you said before I answered that about them being labelled. Of course, Live Your Movie is targeted at the black community, but obviously, like, whoever comes through the door, of course, that's absolutely fine. Like, we're not young people in general, but we're trying to build, by the grace of God, a system where generations, my generation, older generations, are coming back to pour into these younger people. The younger people are our target, but the community is our audience. Do you get what I'm saying? So I say that to say that labelling, though, especially as a young black person or a young black male or a young black female, the stereotypes that you may have to face, that we've all had to face, navigating in even in the not just the corporate world, the corporate world or the working world. So one of our modules is called The Big World, and I'm currently trying to work on like a program on I'm questioning the name, if it should be called The Good Black or The Black Experience or whatever the case may be, because it's so crazy that when you come out of that south boundary, the big world's quite shocking. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm just trying to have a conversation, I'm just being real, but I might be labelled as aggressive, or I might be labelled as direct, or this, that, the other, but I'm also Nigerian. And it's normal for me to address things because actually we're quite loud or whatever, but I'm now merging that culture into my culture, but that's too much in this society. So how society perceives you, but how you perceive yourself are some of the raw conversations that I'm trying to facilitate. So I say that to say that, like, there's something about labelling and young people. It's so sad, and it actually makes me really sad. I said I wasn't getting emotional. I could get emotional right now. I could start crying because it's so sad. We need tissue, but I'm okay. I'm okay right now. But I said no because, like, it's tough. It's tough navigating a society when people already see you one way. I've gone.
Even been able to introduce yourself.
It's insane. I've walked in a trackie before on my way to work. Who starts work at 7 a.m? Obviously, nurses start work at 7 a.m, and I'm going to work at like 6 something in a trackie because I want to be comfortable. And when I get to work, I'm going to change into my scrubs. And some lady just moved her bag, like, and I thought, wait, babe, look, no one wants your bag. All right, I don't want your bag. I'm just trying to get to work, love. Like, I don't even have, do you know what I'm saying? Like, so that label and navigating that mentally is a lot. Because how do I show up into these rooms? Am I good enough? No one tells me at home that I'm good enough because, like, at home, that's not really a thing. So to answer that question around why is that important, it is all that matters, because like I said, it comes back down to identity and uplifting how you see yourself in this world. And also with young people now, they've got so much like social media pressures. So social media is telling them one thing, they don't even have the time to think and process. So with Live Your Movie, my thing is to be able to create spaces where they can think they can think safely,
Yeah.
they can think openly, we can pour into them, and it's like they feel that there's a place where there's unity, there's love, there's empowerment. And like obviously they might not get that from home, but they might get it from home, but it's just more one of those where they might have to lead that conversation, like, oh mum, I feel like this, or getting them to speak up now. Do you know what I'm saying? And being that bridge, because sometimes our parents might be emotionally unavailable, or they might not understand the mental health impact. Do you get it? And that might trickle down into the children. So I say that to say that like it's really important to check in on how they are, and it's also important to show that you really care. Because the big world is you need to prepare them essentially. I feel like I derailed again.
No, definitely not. Like all the points were very valid, and like exactly at the big world, that a lot of time with big kid as well, like when we take these young people on trips, for the first time, it's like that's the first time they've seen the world outside of their estate. So all they know is their estate. When they now see the big world, and it's like, okay, there's actually this going on,
right?
It also opens up opportunities for them as well. Aside from also seeing the reality of sometimes the stereotypes and whatnot, but also seeing, okay, cool, this and this is actually available for me too.
Exactly.
Because a lot of time young people only know their environment, and unfortunately a lot of young people nowadays, their environment is on the negative sides. And then, like I'm saying, because it's the first time, they're not hearing, oh yes, I'm proud of you, or well done, and the first time they are hearing that is from someone that may be grooming them, and then when they're being groomed into wherever the case may be now, and they're being told these things, that are actually, this is where I want to be, because this is where I'm being celebrated.
I feel safe, I feel loved, I feel appreciated and seen.
Because we don't show them love enough, they then think, okay, love looks like, I don't know, maybe this violence that's going on, and then they won't be able to see past that, because it's like, yeah, but okay, you're telling me this is wrong, but you don't tell me you love me. You don't tell me you're proud of me.
And what are you doing for me?
Do you get what I'm trying to say? Oh yes, but whoever the case may be, who's grooming me, whatever, is now telling me, yeah, like, I'm proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And it is quite sad, and I've seen a lot of young people fall on that kind of wayside as well, but then also I've also seen them turn their lives around. And I feel like charities like Big Kid Live Your Movie is very important for young people. I say all this to kind of say, seeing, is there like a story that also that you may come across with a young person that kind of resonates with you, that you've seen them kind of transform their life around whatever the case may be? They may have been in a situation where it might have been around youth violence, or maybe just not being able to open up or express their emotions.
So I mentioned that we do a program. So our New Era program is a leadership development program for young people, and we had 2 cohorts last year, cohort 1 and 2, and they didn't actually know each other. So there's one of the boys that was here with us from the beginning, so top of last year, and our program focuses on culture and identity, which looks at, like I said, identity is the beginning for me of your leadership journey. So even as first generation of migrants, second generations, understanding that your story doesn't just start with you. It starts from, be it if you're background Jamaican, Nigerian, Ghanaian, whatever the case may be, but highlighting that and understanding what that looks like for you here in the UK. And how that plays into your leadership. Then the next session is mindset and leadership. So looking at personality styles, how you show up in different rooms, and the big world. So all of these different things combine now. How you show up into the big world, representation, professionalism, communication styles, debunking the stereotypes of angry black woman or aggressive black man, whatever the case may be. And mental health, social media impacts, and financial literacy. So they had gone through these sessions separately and combined at the end to create a production, which should be coming out hopefully by the grace of God in March, and a documentary in March. And that's all about living your movie. So the choices that you make as a young person, and giving them the opportunity to I mean, they are the leaders of their lives and the authors of their story, but like, well, God is the author of your story, but you know, they've got the choices that they'll make. And actually the short film was called The Choice. So that was them coming together to create a script and that. So in particular, there was a young boy who started with us, like I was saying, and he didn't really talk that much. Very quiet, just happy to be here. Just, in fact, even if he was happy to be here, he was there, innit? Like, and a lot of the time it would just be like, oh, that's just how he is. Like, he's just da-da-da. But I definitely made it a thing to keep checking in on him. Like, how are you? Like, I'd always check in with him, speak to him. And I started asking him questions like, why are you always so like quiet and moody? Like, why you always got a strop or a face on you type thing? And after he warmed up to me and he was just like, he realised that that was an easier way to show up in spaces, because if you don't, you can get bullied if you're too happy, if you're too this. So he created this version of himself, which I definitely resonated with, because especially growing up in South, it's Tetris. It's a jungle.
Stand up for yourself.
You gotta know how to survive. No, like, cause like even with myself, I remember in year 3, I told myself like, what? I'm gonna have this like strong, fast approach. Like, don't chat for me. Like, what? Did you just say that? Like, because if you don't, you could become a target. And I had to go through that journey with myself. Like, why did I have that like approach, that attitude? And as you get older, you develop, you start understanding, asking yourself questions, answering these questions. But he was able to identify that it came from that place of, if not, you could become a target, you could get bullied. And I was like, okay. So the space that we provided, like I said, these cohorts of young people don't know each other, but they created a bit of a family. And he took a role in the production, being like a director. And that meant that he did have to talk to people. Yeah. He did have to, like, you know, do the audition. He had to participate in the script, the interviews, all those things. And it was good to see him sort of open up or partake and engage. He came to every single session. And I think I just found the joy of him being there, of him collaborating with others. And yeah, like him engaging with these people, even though he's more of a quiet one, through prompting. And I realised that he answered questions in third person. Like, he wasn't answering in first person. So I'm currently finishing my coaching program to be a qualified coach. And like, I'd use coaching style questions to ask him questions. Like, so then he can answer the questions on his own, but he would always answer in third person, which I found interesting. So it's like he didn't want the light to be on him, but this version, like, he would answer X, would like essentially in third person. And that was interesting, but he was engaging, was my point. So yeah, that's one story for me that keeps me fueled and going, because it's like, keep providing this space for, you know. And when we had our drama therapy session, I saw that he was able to, you know, identify positive friends from negative friends. Yeah. So friends that he should be hanging around with, and those that, you know, I think I remember him saying something like, he knows right from wrong, but sometimes he might just go with the flow, because like at that point the outside noise is louder than the inside noise telling him like what to do. But even him just saying that was starting to have that mindset shift, acknowledging. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah.
No, I like that, you know, and I feel like that's a skill that a lot of young people, you know, like, need to be taught how to develop as well, is the acknowledgement side. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, if you don't acknowledge it, you don't know what you're actually doing, what you're stepping into. You know, and I think the fact that he's been able to acknowledge is quite powerful as well. And, you know, that also goes to say the work that you've also done as well, you know, to transform him in that sense, you know, to work with him, to get him to that place of, you know, self-reflection, to acknowledge as well. And then talking about self-reflection, do you ever, with, you know, your journey so far, with Live Your Movie, your personal journey as well, other young people, do you ever self-reflect and think about the younger you and who you were before Live Your Movie, before you even thought about Live Your Movie? You know, is there something that you would kind of say to that younger person now?
That's a deep question.
I know.
It's very loaded. firstly, on the point of self-reflection, I agree, because I feel like that's part of why we created the leadership and development program, because it's all about self-awareness.
Yeah.
You know, like some people are in their 30s, 40s, and they ain't ever really...
Yeah. Literally.
And it's really sad.
Yeah.
And no one's ever held a mirror up to them, or they've never really sat down and asked themselves deep questions. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, once you start asking yourself deep questions, that's the beginning of change. That's the beginning of you taking leadership. Not just... Some people can be successful, but their character, they're not working on themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? And even the label that we were talking about before, the label's there. It's just what you do with it. I can be a black woman in a room. I can be vocal. I can address things. And, you know, like, sometimes I've got to think, cool, like, how am I coming across? Like, I'm not going to change myself for the room that I'm in, but I'm still going to be me. But what is... It sounds like a bit of a game, because it's like, what is the stereotype? What am I doing versus how am I going to show up? I'm still going to show up as my authentic self. And I think a lot of people don't sit down sometimes and reflect, and that's what I really want these young people to do, because that's a skill that takes you throughout your life. Do you know what I'm saying? When you become a parent, when you become a colleague, or you become a leader, what kind of leader do you want to be? Do you know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. So now, in terms of the question in regards to my younger self, definitely, I think I always say that nursing saved me, because I got thrown into the deep end of working from the age of 18. And I'm not just working like, I did work in Waitrose. That was best job ever. Shout out Waitrose. Waitrose, I did work customer service and all that stuff. But when I look back now, working those long shifts in Waitrose, even though it was fun because my friends were there, that was building me up for customer service, how I relate with people. But when I was 18 and I was working in the NHS as like a healthcare assistant and learning how to deal with different people. These people are sick, they've got conditions, and nursing started to birth that sort of like, not birth actually, that's not true. It enhanced my compassion, my compassionate skills, my compassion, my care, in terms of empathy. That's how humans relate, because at the end of the day, white, black, green, whatever, it's all about empathy. It's all about empathizing with people's stories, situations. And I think that's when my mindset started to shift, that my eyes started to become exposed. My mind started to be exposed to life. Life outside of maybe self, life outside of my own personal circumstances, and that like, there is a big world out there. And also, what's my stamp in this world? So that foundation is nursing, and the skill sets that I learned there, my placement, dealing with people from different sides of the world and different conditions. So when I look back at my younger self, before Live Your Movie, I've always been like resilient. Like, I grew up in a single parent household. I've always been resilient. I've always been determined. I knew that, like, I had a brain. Like, I wasn't the smartest, like, A-star, but I was an A-B grader. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, man can just slide through. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I could pass a little 1-2. Like, I could... Let me tell you one of my proudest achievements. Like, obviously, I'm not trying to glaze myself or anything, but I did get 2 A's in English.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, like...
What, GCSE?
Yeah.
Fairs.
Yeah. I got, like... I tell everyone this, and everyone was like, it was an achievement. What? Me? I got 58 out of 60 my off-mice and men exam. I got A-star.
I was going to ask you what books they were.
Yeah. And Mr. Tahiri, that was the head of whatever he was then, and he made an announcement in assembly, and he was like, yeah, we just want to announce Larissa, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And everyone was like, boop, boop, yeah. I was like, yeah. So for me, I've always, like, if I'm not good at something, I am going to sit down and figure it out.
Yeah, make yourself good.
And I think that was always that was a strain of Live Your Movie, in a sense, because it's like, these are the cards I've been dealt, this is the situation, what am I going to do about it? So my mindset has always been a way of just to figure out how we're going to get out of this situation, or how we're going to pattern. So I think before Live Your Movie, I've always been like that, resilient, hardworking, determined, creating opportunities. I would always take an opportunity if they're offering, there's 10 spaces for us to go to X company, and I'm going. I'm going to go network. I'm going to try a thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And nursing was one of those things. It was like, I'm going uni, I'm going to come out with a degree. I'm not coming back with nothing. I've gone there for a reason. So I've always been quite like focused on the goal. So I think all of those things are attributes of Live Your Movie, is what I'm trying to say. And those are the attributes I want young people to have, that everyone's got a situation, like everyone's got a story, but what are you going to do with yours? Like, this is your story, but you got a choice. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to feel sorry for yourself and be like, oh yeah, but my mum this, my dad that. And it is dark. It is actually dark. But you either fight or flight.
That was a boss though. I know you're proud of that one.
Yeah. Just trying to do like this.
like we've been there before.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's normal, it's easy.
I know you said about leaving a stamp. What would you say is a stamp you kind of want to leave on this world?
Deeper. Oh wait, did you ask me before what I'd say to my younger self? Have I answered it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, sorry. My stamp. Cool. My stamp is that I would want everyone, through me, through my life, I want everyone to know, see, understand that you can do all things through Christ Jesus. Like, nothing is off the cards, no matter how bad the situation is. That through Jesus Christ, you can do all things. And of course, through your determination, your faith in Jesus Christ, births the determination, it births the feel, it births the energy. Because of course you're gonna have days where you can't be arsed.
Nice.
You're gonna have days where like everything just feels like yo,
feels long,
as in I need to get out of it type of thing. So, and that's why even with the mental health question, for me it comes back to spirituality. My stamp would be that if it's thinkable, it's achievable. If you can think it, you can do it, type of thing, by the grace of God. I want my life to be a depiction of that. Big words, depiction. I'm joking.
Wait, that's that English AA coming true still.
I mean, but yeah.
Nah, generally, like, just obviously knowing you outside of this and, you know, Live Your Movie and when we met and everything, you know, generally, even goes back to my point earlier about we don't say it enough, but generally, I was meant to say this to you in December actually, but since we're here now, you know, genuinely not. Honestly, I am genuinely very proud of you and whatnot, even in the short piece of time that, you know, I've known you and whatnot, and just hearing your story and what you're saying today.
Appreciate it.
You know, because it's not easy at all, you know, and especially when you're already going through your own struggles, you've had your own struggles, and now, you know, you're trying to make a better life. Not for yourself, but also for other young people, you know, and also now it's not just showing up for yourself, but showing up for these young people that also look like you too, because, you know, in anything, you're always under a microscope, like whatever you do, especially now, like we was talking about the stereotypes, but especially when now you've got young people almost counting on you, you know, because sometimes you're their trusted adult in their whole life, because sometimes people's home situation ain't the best,
right?
You know, and you know, to be able to call this is what's going on in my life, but I've got this and this person counting on me, you know, I need to show up, you know, and you being able to constantly do that, I know also it's not easy, so just wanted to say I'm proud.
I really appreciate that, and I think maybe that's even the kick up the arse I needed a little bit, because what you said was very deep, because obviously I'm still in my 20s. And I think navigating your 20s is very tough. Like, you fall down, you get up so many times. And obviously I believe that I know my purpose. I believe that I know my purpose, which is doing what I'm doing. And also, like, creating that voice, creating that space where the voices can be heard. So of course, like what you said, like, and I think so many times when I'd look at myself, I'd be thinking like, what kind of leader do I want to be? So even sometimes when you want to spaz out, you're thinking, fam, I can't even be getting upset about things like this, because what kind of example are you? And obviously I look at obviously the Christian morals and values as well. So I'm grateful for that. But also then you're juggling life. You're just thinking like you're in your 20s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're not there yet.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like so. And then when these young people they be asking you questions around your career, your pathway, how do you do this, or I'm trying to make money and this. Yeah, you do kind of feel like it's your responsibility to try and find these answers. And that's one thing I want to do with Live Your Movie, be able to create partnerships with different companies, different places that our young people can have like placements, they can have exposure to things that may not just be like accessible to them. So being that bridge, like I said before, and I'm really passionate about that, because once you're able to, I think even Santan Dave said it in one of his songs once, that like 5 minutes away from like, not 5 minutes, like 10 minutes away from like South London is like Westminster. Like if you go from Elephant and Castle, like 10 minutes on the bus, you're seeing like the Big Ben and that. And it's like, there's so much out there, but sometimes, like you said, young people can get groomed, they can slip away because of the home conditions, because of what they're having to face. And mentally, it's so hard to challenge those thoughts. It's hard to fight against those thoughts in your mind. So yeah, I think that can get quite heavy when you're thinking, right, these people might be looking at you, or when's the next link up, or when's the next this, and you're thinking, am I even doing this right? And I've been going through that spiral a little bit, but I think even just hearing you say that, I'm like, gotta keep going, man.
Yeah,
it's bigger than you.
Yeah, because it is like, you know, like even just like I said, like you could literally step outside, looking all how you end up seeing one of the young people, and you're like, right, do you get what I'm trying to say? You know, like you never know who's watching, and you
Facts.
know, it also kind of keeps you accountable in a sense as well. Yeah. You know, and you know, like I was saying to you, you know, earlier off camera, where you know some of the young people was, you know, telling me about how much they appreciate me and everything. Like hearing how you impact young people as well is very rewarding, you know, because you never really, you know, you're doing something, but you don't know exactly
what you're
how
doing.
You're doing it.
That's the thing, isn't it?
And you know, for them, like I was saying, the transformation stories, I think it's so rewarding to see, and you know, for them to be able to open up and tell you, you know, oh, like I'm proud of you, or thank you for this, or thank you for that, you know, it's something that you can't really put a price on.
Facts.
You know, so even off of the back of that, you know, I feel like me personally, I always feel like there should be more charities like Big Kid, Live Your Movie. You know, there's other charities like High Trees in our local area, you know, that provide these spaces for young people to be able to, you know, come in, transform their lives and whatnot. But I wanted to ask you, is there something you feel like we can be doing more as a community to put our young people in a better place, mentally, and you know, for their future, and also just in general?
I feel like, so I feel like as you're talking, I was just thinking about, there are obviously different organisations and places that do different things. I think it's quite difficult running things like this as well, because it's always like funding based or this based or whatever. But what I would say, I don't know why I'm hold on, sorry, one sec. But what I would say is that, and sorry, when you're talking, I was just thinking about Live Your Movie and why I believe it's different. So I believe it's different because, one, I don't know about other people, but our values are grounded in the values of God. Our key scripture is 1 John 3:16, I believe, which talks about essentially what is love, and love is paving the way for your brothers and your sisters, and that's our anchor in terms of, you know, other generations, other people pouring in to young people to pave the way for them, so then it's easier for them. They don't have to face, you know, the clashes, the back I mean, they might face backlash and stuff, but how do you navigate that then? And they don't have to face them obstacles on their own type of thing. So, and also I find Live Your Movie different because also it's about, we want to be able to long term occupy spaces in production that isn't just the gang scene, because that's not what it's all about, being a young person.
There's so much more.
There's so much more being a young person. There's young people that you know, might have like sickle cell crisis, and like they're still, I don't know, opening a business, or you know, a young person that was jailed by accident and it wasn't even them. There's so many things to being a young person, or even just the story of their dad left and how they've pushed through to get a scholarship. What about the mental challenges that they're thinking about, or what it feels like just to even just go to school every day and try not to be a bad kid? What about that? What about that kid? Do you know what I'm saying? Or the kid that has a sibling that has autism and now that kid feels neglected. No one's showing these stories. So I hope that one day we'll be able to show through storytelling, the power of storytelling, people's stories, and it inspires other people. And that's why one of the main things for this year is to have interviews with people in our community that we embed into our new era program, into our program, that young people can see people that look like them and how they've pivoted. Because you might think you're going to be a footballer, but you end up being a football educator rather than a football player. Or you might even end up being a Sky Sports presenter. Like, you're not necessarily, because you've got people skills. So it's actually giving them that, or providing that space that trains their mind to be able to challenge situations and not to give up. So that's why I think we're different. And through the lens of production, writing your own story, living your movie, playing on the pun. I think that I think what the community can do is to really, like I said before, really hone into the idea of identity and understanding that each young person's story is different. A lot of things are done generally, which is great, but I think a lot of one-to-one time, a lot of one-to-one conversations that empower young people that you are perfect or you are great the way you are. Like, your greatness has no end. Your story, even if it started like this, it doesn't have to end like that. And where they start to feel empowered despite the negative things that may have happened, it doesn't have to end negative, it can end positively. So I think there could be a lot more spaces that hone into identity, that look more at the family structure, what's going on in the family, or why does this person present in this way. There could be a lot more mental health facilitators for young people, and also a lot of young black people, because we know statistically that black mental health is on its own trajectory, especially with young black men. So why aren't they speaking up? We could do a lot more research. We can do a lot more black sort of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Black, not coded, but black shaped training programs around the traumas that black people face, be it from other generations that's being passed down. We could do a lot of those. But yeah, so I feel like that's my thing that I've been trying to focus on with Live Your Movie, that trying to create that space, and also a lot of partnerships, because it's so hard for 16-year-olds to get a job.
It is, yeah.
It's so hard for them to get like exposure, but a lot of big companies, or a lot of like, not even just influencers, but figures can basically like create spaces for young people, this charity, Big Kids doing this. We have 3 spaces under our EDI program, or whatever the case may be, for young people to. So then those young people can start to feel empowered. They can start feeling like, I am actually good enough because I just got a placement in X, Y, Z. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it might not always be education. It might be, I don't know, like plumbing, I don't know, but it can be whatever fits that young person's story. So creating more spaces like that as well.
Being able to provide a pathway for them, which is important.
I agree.
I do agree as well. Coming to like the end of it, you know, is there like a message you kind of want to give to young people, just in general, you know, that maybe a message that you've always wanted to hear, I guess, yourself? You know, that's maybe something that you wish someone would have told you, you know. Is there something that you kind of want to say to them?
There's so many things I'd like to say, but I just need to think of the one thing. I think I would say I don't want it to sound so cliche though.
I mean, you could make it your own.
Live your movie. And in a sense where, like, look at your life like an actual movie. what scene, what genre, what kind of movie is it? Is it an action film? Does it end positively? Does it end negatively? The choices that you make today, the outcome will come tomorrow. You really got to think about it. And also, you are different, and that's absolutely okay. Like, it's okay to be you. Like, your story is so unique to another person's story. It sounds so like cliche, like, yeah, but I know that. But literally, your story is so unique to another person's story. Even your brethrens that are in one group of people, you all think you're not the same. You're not all the same. So what is unique about you? What's unique about your story? And what's the power that's in your story that you're going to turn around for the good, for the outcome, for the success? So when you're like 10, 15 years from now, you're like, yeah, I really did that. Keep working at that thing, and you can definitely do it. Because, and even if you think, oh, but everyone else is doing it, it's going to be different for you. It's going to be different for you. And I think that the last thing I'll say is one thing I'm really big about is look at your positioning in your family. Some people might not care about their family is okay, cool, but you are a product of that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, what's going on there, and how can you be different for the better? You might have older siblings that you might think, right, like, I don't want to go down that route, or actually I'm already going down that route. How can I pivot and do something else? Like, think about it. Like, even in your family, you're different from your siblings. So I'm thinking about how, I guess I'm reverting this to myself. How can you make a difference? I didn't have, like, growing up, I was the first to basically go uni within my siblings. So, and I'm like the fourth. So I had to think outside of the norm. Like, what's normal here? And that's not my normal. Like, think differently is what I'm trying to say. It's not easy, but by the grace of God, you can do it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Cool. So to end it off, I always play a game or two.
Right, here we go.
So this one, the first one, basically, I want you to say the first thing that comes to mind when you hear these words.
Cool.
Cool. Leadership.
What, the first thing?
Yeah, first thing that comes to mind.
Does it have to be words or just whatever comes?
Just words, yeah. So, like, let's say, like I say, leadership. Someone might say, if they really, I don't know, someone might say empowering.
Okay.
Yeah. So, leadership.
Identity.
Okay. Home.
Love.
Success.
Ooh. Success. Wait. Jesus. I don't know why that comes to mind, but Jesus.
Okay. Failure.
Not my portion.
I like that. Wait. I like that. I like that.
Not my portion.
Wow. Pressure.
Ooh. Mixed diamonds.
Okay. Your 16-year-old self.
Ooh. My 16-year-old self. What?
Yeah. First word that comes to mind when you think about your 16-year-old self.
Needed love.
Okay. Cool. And in the second game, basically, you're going to finish the sentence.
Okay.
Basically. So the first one is, young people today really need.
Jesus. Sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. Do you need Jesus Christ?
Okay. I used to think I couldn't, space, but now
I used to think I couldn't see it.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't see what's coming next, because you don't know what's coming next. But now I'm living in it, and I can do it.
I like that. Okay. Confident looks like space, but actually is.
Confidence looks like you think you've got it all together, or like, yeah, it looks like it's all together, like she's doing that thing, whatever. But actually, for me, right now in my life, confidence is showing up anyway. Just keep showing up. just keep showing up.
I feel most powerful when.
I feel most powerful when there's silence and I have spent time in the presence of God, and that's when I feel the most assured, and that's when I feel like I'm untouchable.
Okay. And one thing you want people to remember you for.
One thing I want people to remember me for is love, like sacrificial love, like love that people say love, but actually love that's selfless.
Unconditional.
Unconditional. Even but more like selfless, like more like I was able to heal through love. Like one thing that's more powerful than hate is love. Like love overrides everything, and that's just like showing up. That's like, you know, being loyal, being committed. That's like going to the ends of the earth. And that's not to say obviously like depriving yourself and moving mad, but like finding the answer. If it's in the case of young people, trying to find the answer, showing up, checking in, that kind of stuff, and, you know, reminding people that you can do it, type of thing. And it's funny because that comes back to our anchor scripture about what is love, and it's, you know, paving the way for the next generation. I want people to remember me for paving the way for the next generation.
Like that. Thank you very much. You've been a fantastic guest.
Thank you.
You know, your story is amazing. What you're doing for young people is amazing. I hope that you continue to grow. I know you will continue to grow.
Amen.
And, you know, you could follow Live Your Movie on social media as well. You can follow Big Kid on social media as well. This is the Big Kid Podcast, Unlocked, powered by Shaw. Thank you, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thanks for having me.